welcome to another episode of Turn Up the Tech. I'm Mark Taylor, Commercial Director of Invision, and today I have a very special guest, all the way I think this is the furthest out I've definitely had a guest so far. So, and he's arrived this morning. So,
I'm in peak condition.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Scott Krix, founder of Krix Audio, welcome, and thank you very much for taking your time to come all this way over. How was the flight?
Brilliant. I don't lie very much. It wasn't too bad, really.
Yeah. And you're feeling okay now?
Yeah,
you're up for this, yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you for coming over. And just for those who are not watching on YouTube or wherever you're watching, we're in our cinema in Bracknell, and this is the first time you've got to see this place.
Yes, I've heard a lot about it, but now I'm actually sitting in the room.
You're actually sitting in it. So
in the room.
You're sitting in it, but we haven't yet to fire it up.
No, I've got a pretty good idea what it's like. I mean, one of our guys has already been here.
Yeah.
And so he's pretty familiar with it. So
he's giving you the lowdown, isn't he?
He knows his onions.
I think we've made some tweaks since then. So hopefully we're gonna that's it. So we'll impress you in a bit, hopefully.
Sounds good.
So like I say, thanks for coming. So you come over for our Committed to Cinema event.
Yeah.
Really, thanks for that. It's appreciated. And we've got an exciting panel later tomorrow.
Yep.
So that'll be good.
Yep.
But really, I thought we'd take this opportunity with you over to get a bit of an insight, really, get a bit of an inside of the business, and because I don't know if in the UK people would know that next year is Krix's 50th anniversary.
Yep, that's it.
So, wow, congratulations, by the way.
Yep.
That's great, isn't it? You know, 50 years is a hell of a stint. But I think, and this might be being unfair, but I don't think people know that in the UK. So, and I think one of the things we want to do with you coming over is to get a bit of the history out there, because we spent some time in the car this morning and you got such great stories and interest about it. But if we go back a bit to the start, where did this start, Scott?
Well, probably way back when I was 2.
Yeah. Oh, right. Oh, we're going that far back. Wow. Okay.
But I think essentially I grew up in outback Australia, out in the middle of nowhere, so to speak. And my father was a World War II soldier settler on an agricultural plot, if you like. So we had this, you had to make do.
Yeah.
Make something out of nothing and make it work. But from his background, etc., we were interested in engineering, obviously agriculture, because that was our business. Yeah. But I got involved with music and lots of other bits and pieces, because we had a situation where we were out in this nowhere. There was a lot of people my age, and we just ran amok. And we had a lot of fun doing just stuff, playing with cars, playing with electricity, electronics, speakers, audio, all that sort of thing. So it was just a fertile ground for somebody like myself to just do stuff.
Yeah, just muck around and get stuff.
Just muck around.
Yeah,
no real pressure.
Yeah,
but I did quite well at physics and maths and those sort of things in high school.
Yeah.
So that was an interest, and I was pretty keen to continue that. So I managed to get a scholarship to do electronic engineering at Adelaide, and then it just followed from that.
God. And you said your interest was an interest in music, or
yes. I played just the woodwinds when I was at school,
right?
And then I taught myself the clarinet when I was older. And there were no teachers where I were. So it was one of those self-help books, just this is how you do it. You play that, and then you play that, and you play that, and then you try and put it all together. And I managed to get a reasonable tune out of it.
Yeah,
and I still got it. So, it was a genuine wood one.
You'll play? Or?
No. I had a slight accident once, and my key finger disappeared. Right. That's what you get for building speakers.
Right, okay. Oh, wow. And so that put it into your promising music career,
exactly right. That's why I've got the scars of it, shucks.
So then how did you get into how did the cinema part start?
Well, there's a bit of a story to that, but essentially, I guess when I started the business, and, I was basically building speakers for friends and, friends of friends and that sort of stuff, because I really, really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
And then we opened a hi-fi shop. As a friend of mine from Loxton, that's where I grew up, and myself, we thought, well, we need an outlet, a fully fledged hi-fi shop, like you find anywhere, selling denim, Toshiba, all that sort of stuff. And so I put in the front window some horn systems I made when I was at uni. And one of the guys that owns a cinema, ran a cinema just down the road, came past and wanted to get us to upgrade his sound system. So that's how it started.
Oh, right.
So
Wow.
purely out of the blue. I'd never done a cinema before.
And when you started building these horn speakers, because obviously that's what Krix is
now
famous for, you know?
It is now, yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what was that? That was part of your college work, and that was...
Not so much, very peripheral. We didn't do acoustics at all.
Right.
But we have access to a library. So in part of the engineering books, there was quite a big text on acoustics and, things like horn-loaded systems and all that sort of stuff. So I was pretty familiar with how it all worked when I graduated. And I built some of those.
Right.
Mm.
So that led you into... So that was the cinema number one, then?
Cinema one, the Capri.
Yeah.
That's how it started. And that's how we got involved in the infinite baffle.
Oh, is that it?
That's how it worked. Because what had happened is that we built these, just backpedal a little bit. It's a 1,000-seater auditorium, right? It's a big auditorium, 2 levels, all that classical early cinema where they just showed a feature film for a year.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot on the market.
Yeah.
So they had a pair of 3 Tannoys Ardens sitting on the floor. That didn't work. So they said, well, look, we need something better than that. They saw the system that I had in the shop window, and they asked us to build something, which I did from scratch. And I built a rear horn-loaded dual 15-inch high frequency with a high frequency horn system. I didn't make the horns for it, but we used that. And then they came to equalise it and found a pretty big acoustic problem, which was basically the reflection from the back wall. So you can just imagine what happens. It just disappears. You get sound radiating, in free space, if you like, and some of it travels the back wall and it reflects back into the auditorium and it produces a null, as well as, it's a cone thing. So I thought, well, how do you solve this? So just build a wall. And that's what we did. So I built this pretty solid wall and put some acoustic absorbent material on the front of it, make sure the front of the speakers were flush, and beautiful. Fixed it.
So your innovations came from your first job almost.
That's it. Well, they said they had
the job done.
Well, I knew about from RF theory that what half space, full free space, and all that sort of stuff did, and I use it for your load. That's how you load certain transducers, if you like. So I thought, well, that's easy. We can fix this reflection problem, which by cutting space in half, so it doesn't go backwards. But what it actually did is improve the efficiency of the low frequency by, you get up to 6 dB because you're cutting space in half. So you got an efficiency dividend, and because we got absorptive material behind the screen, the HF splash off of the almost opaque screen, because it's a piece of plastic with holes in it, it absorbed that splash off of that as well. It absorbed any noise coming out of the auditorium, because it suddenly had this dirty, great big heap of acoustic absorbent material in the auditorium, and any spurious noise that came from the back of the cinema got basically contained. So it had a hell of a lot of advantages.
Wow.
So what had happened is that people could go to the cinema and understand what was going on. Something different.
Yeah.
Rain Man, for example. Do you remember that scene where he whispers?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people couldn't understand it. And when we put it in those particular cinemas, you could hear it.
Wow.
Especially with the right delays and all that sort of stuff. You could actually understand what he was saying. And a lot of people said they couldn't.
Right.
And that was one of the big tests for me. That was a real big moment when people said that. And that's other people saying it to me.
Yeah.
Mm.
So they were going into the cinema and going, wow, what's that? This is like a whole different experience that they're getting of it as well.
Yeah. That's it.
So when was that sort of in time?
This was in 1980.
Wow.
Mm.
Okay. And the infinite backfill wall. So that obviously that's so for me, and I haven't got the experience that clearly that you have, but you got the horn technology, and then infinite baffle wall is Krix, right? That's that's.
Well, we pioneered it in that space. Yeah.
And then how did that develop there from? So obviously you've got that takes you into commercial cinema.
Yes. Well, the interesting thing is the guy that ran the cinema, he was so enthusiastic about it. He told the whole country. He was one of those guys, lovely guy.
Yeah.
And he was so enthusiastic. He firstly told everybody. So I got introduced to the people that ran the commercial cinemas, the big chains.
Yeah.
And they got involved. Then they asked me to do that because they were doing their multiplex expansion in the 80s.
Gotcha.
I mean, it was just going nuts. The industry was going crazy. And they wanted to put this into their cinemas because it was a competitive edge. So we got all the chains doing it.
Wow.
So we basically had all the work.
Because I think the stat is, a high percentage of commercial cinemas in Australia are Krix cinemas.
Well, probably, it's pretty hard to say, but we might have 80, 70, 80, 90%. 80% have got Krix products in it.
I mean, that's...
Because we're next door.
Yeah.
We're easy to get to, and it works.
Yeah.
And I don't have any problem with it.
There you go. What more do you need?
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
So
you don't go back to it. So that's
I mean, the people they have veered off the path, but they've come back to the fold.
and then how did that take you into the home? How did you get into the home from?
Well, essentially just leveraged it. Initially, when we were doing the installs, we were producing loudspeakers for TV sets and speaker each side on a centre channel. But the interesting part about that too is they were selling really small centre channels at the time, and they was calling that home theatre. So we actually built one for a 42-inch TV that went underneath the TV, and you could sit a TV on top of it. That was very new. I couldn't believe anybody hadn't thought of that before.
Yeah.
Easy. And then everybody copied us. So there was suddenly about 3 or 4 brands that was exactly the same dimensions.
Yeah.
Right? And that's...
And that was the starting point.
That was the start for home cinema.
Yeah.
We were starting to get involved. That we built some left and right speakers that were sort of cinema-esque. They were hi-fi-esque, good party speakers-esque, and cinema-esque. Nice, good bottom end, fish it. And they were really popular. We called them the Impacts.
Right.
Hey, for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons, yeah.
But that had a small horn loaded to it, HF in it. So,
tell me why the horn technology? Why?
Well, it's got a hell of a lot of advantages because it's directive, it's efficient, and you can get some pretty high SPLs out of it.
Right.
That's the broad strokes. But what we did is make a precision dispersion pattern. So it's pretty flat, and I mean the dispersion remains constant over the desired frequency range, so you don't get this sort of change in, and that's really important in any cinema environment, so that you don't get crazy frequency-based issues with reflections. It's very efficient, so you can get really high SPLs pretty easily, and you can have moderate-sized amplifiers with a decent amount of headroom. So it's affordable to buy 300 or 400 watts and have a 3 to 5, 6 dB headroom. Especially with, in those areas, it makes sense to have a decent amount of headroom.
Yeah.
So you can achieve 115 dB SPLs in reasonable size cinemas.
Yeah.
And so it's all very achievable. The other thing that we've done is made sure that the distortion components out of all our drivers are quite flat and even. There's no crazy distortion components at odd frequencies, so it's actually quite low,
right? Especially
the odd order ones. And the dynamic range has to be very linear so that you get all of the information that's coming out of the film.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
Yeah.
So there's probably a few other advantages.
But principally, that's
pretty well.
But you were obviously working with that from an early stage, and you had an understanding. And
well, what we did was have a guy that works with us, Dave. He's basically, I call him bloody genius, basically.
Yeah.
And he with a couple of other people and myself used what we call finite element analysis software. We had to write a whole heap of software within the program that we bought to do horns. So we were able to simulate it all before we went to prototyping. So instead of us, Dave, designing something in MathCAD, yours truly goes out and builds it, and then we test it a month later. He could put one together in a couple of days.
Wow.
And then we get to a point now we don't have to prototype it, we can just make it.
Is he been working in the? I take it he's been working.
He's been working in audio forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been involved with the Audio Engineering Society, and he's the one that holds patents in horn tech. But he's with our sponsorship.
Yeah,
which is good. And he often presents at the AES conventions globally.
Yeah,
and talks about what he's been doing. So him and a few other people have done a lot of maths to be able to achieve this simulation. But at the end of the day, up at about 15 to 20 kilohertz, you've got a million variables to take care of.
Yeah.
So, we'd run up for a weekend to get the whole frequency spectrum to see if it looked like, and then you go back and think, well, that's not quite right. So you change the angles and then do it again.
Yeah.
But it's very subtle, especially at the throat. To get that right, to get that angle right, and so the waveform goes down the throat and out and launches evenly. And that takes a bit of work.
Yeah, okay, mate.
And a lot of experience.
And are you all from the same area of Australia? Is it?
Yeah.
It's also
Yep.
because when we were in the car, we were chatting, and you were saying, we were sort of from the backwaters of Australia, and we really had to get. You didn't have anybody else around you doing it, so it's not like you could copy or whatever. You had to go and find it out.
We pretty well did it ourselves. I mean, some of the stuff just wasn't invented; it was just new, completely new. So we did it ourselves. I mean, we were using sort of JBL Electro Voice and those sort of horns that before, but we found that we could do better.
Yeah.
So we started to make our own, and we found some problems with some of the EV horns, for example, that we didn't understand why they designed it that way. So that gives us confidence to think, well, our thinking's actually about right. So that's what led us into be able to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we had a lot of help from the Adelaide Uni. They from the mech eng department, some of their people gave us some help there too, because it's pretty new. One of the guys that was helping us, he got his PhD in horn design. So he's got a patent associated with that as well.
Yeah.
It's more about the design aspects of it rather than the actual nuts and bolts of it. So,
and because it's really a family business, isn't it? I mean, family
pretty much
in more ways than one, because most of the family work in it.
That's it. Yeah, well, half of us work in it. So.
Yeah. So but the guys like I met Don McKenzie and these guys that they've been in it thick and thin, haven't they? These guys.
That was probably, if you add everybody up, we got about 1,000 years worth of experience.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have been there 20, 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Something like that. The engineers, they're up to about their third long service leave and all that sort of stuff. So.
And did I understand right? I understand when you were, I think it's when you were doing a lot of the commercial cinema stuff, you had to get involved with some of the studios and things such as that. Was that an element that, did you have to work with any of that from part of the innovation or?
Probably not so much, right. But we'd already had the tech done, but we did get approached to do the studios at the Adelaide Films,
right?
Adelaide Film Corps, and they built some new studios, and we did the infinite baffle and supplied all the loudspeakers and made sure all the power was there properly, and all that sort of stuff. So, but I think we've got our stuff installed at Fox Studios in Sydney. We didn't do it,
right?
But I believe our partners did. So.
Yeah. Yes, it's funny with commercial cinemas, isn't it? You're probably in lots of places and you don't know.
No, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's amazing who you bump into and you think, oh yeah, I've got your stuff. Yeah, good set. Yeah,
always nice, isn't it?
Yes, very nice.
So the other thing I think we did a front cover with Essential Install magazine, which is a UK
Oh,
publication.
that one. Yeah.
Last year, and that was on the 7th anniversary of, and correct me if I got it wrong, I did get my numbers wrong, 7th anniversary on the MX.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
so, which is, and dare I say, there are some other things out there now, but so 7 years is, yeah. So, tell me a bit about MX and how that came about.
Well, it's because in commercial cinema, it's hard to, it's a difficult job. And if you install Series X, which is essentially leveraged out of the commercial cinema, and then you want the infinite baffle and all that sort of stuff, it's a lot of work for somebody's place to do all the carpentry. And I remember doing one. We installed something in Melbourne. We put our speakers in, and then we had to design the infinite baffle and put all the acoustic absorbent material on and fix up all behind the screen. And, there's a lot of wasted space and all that sort of stuff. So we thought, well, how can we make it so that more people can enjoy real cinema at home? So we modularized it, essentially. So we use all the volume behind the screen, because that virtually goes to waste. And so we make it very shallow, but we provide all the, basically the proper cinema components to go with it, and the absorptive material that goes with it.
Yeah.
So you've virtually got the whole deal, but it's dead easy to do.
Yeah.
So you provide a shelf, and you just put it on.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And in terms of install, it's just real
that's
simple,
the plan.
isn't it? Yeah.
Because when we would do the installs in commercial cinema, we used to make the speakers for it. So we make it so that we could easily install them. I mean, you don't want to spend all your time mucking around with rock and all that sort of stuff on site. That's terrible.
Yeah.
So you just rock up, do the work, switch it on. It's all done. And even the connections at the front, you've probably seen those.
Yeah.
With a little plug, you pull it out, wire it up, push it back in. It's all easy. And that's the plan, just to make it easy. But for a reasonable amount of money, you get a true cinematic, real cinema at home deal. And it's affordable.
Yeah.
And we've got a pile of models that can suit everybody.
Yeah, it is nicely. And we got the MX40. I always get
the 40. You've got the big one.
Yeah, we've got the big one in here.
Yeah, which is good.
Sample later.
But we developed that product for the MX40. We do use it in the commercial cinema space as well.
Okay.
But this was designed principally for this application through a 3-way.
Right.
We had 2 ways before, but we wanted a 3-way in this space. So, just to give you the better mid-range and the better control.
Yeah. Wow, fantastic. So 7 years, that's an anniversary on that as well. So we remember we did a front cover on that.
Yeah, that was last year, wasn't it?
It was last year.
Yeah, because that was 15th of November in 2015. We released that product in Perth.
Wow.
That was the first one.
Yeah.
So I remember coming up with it, and I've got this piece of paper with blue texture on it. What do you reckon? Sounds good.
Well, 7 years later.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it worked really well.
Yeah.
I mean, it was received really well in Perth when it was released, if you like. And I remember getting quite a lot of global comment.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, this is pretty good. And now it's pretty well everywhere.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
And, copy.
Yeah. Well, what do they say? Yeah. Well, it's the best form of flattery.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
If you're not being copied, you've probably done something wrong.
That's an Oscar Wilde thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So another thing I thought would be interesting to talk about is I think one of the ways Invision came by Krix and the relationship is the relationship with Trinov.
Oh yes. Yep.
We've been Trinov distributor for a long time, and dear old Tom Garrett came to us and said, you guys really, because he'd been working out with you guys for a bit now, I think.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
He came to us and said, I think I've got to check these guys out. It's real interesting stuff. What's going on here?
Yep.
And we did, and obviously this is it. But you're the distributor of Trinov in Australia, and tell us a bit about that partnership.
Well, just to give you the history, we went to CEDIA Europe for quite a few years now, and the guy that does the commercial cinema dropped in our booth. So we went over and talked to him, Michael Babb.
Yep.
And I looked at it, what he was showing, but we'd met the tech before, so I understood it quite simply. So we got the distribution virtually on the spot for commercial cinema in Australia, and proceeded to introduce it into cinema. And we also produced something a bit unique using that in a cinema chain in Adelaide, which we call Quake. So and that worked pretty well. And Mike's been over with Tom to have a listen, and I think it works really well. We're very happy with it.
Yeah, and your partnership is really. I mean, it sounded really good. At obviously you partnered up at ISE this year, and I think you got further plans. I don't know which way. So I'll stop there. But absolutely. Watch this space here.
But just getting back with Michael, then we got introduced to Tom, and then Tom came over and visited us, and then that was the seed for the 24-10-10 extravaganza we did in Melbourne.
Yes.
And that was the biggest channel count on the planet. I think we beat Dolby by about 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember it was a big deal, wasn't it? A big deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, it was a crazy amount of speakers. I think it was 3 containers of loudspeakers.
Wow.
So we had to ship it and get it in there and make it work, blah, 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 and then take it all down and back up home again. And we sort of went nuts for 4 or 5 days. When we finished, we looked at each other and said, what's just happened there? It was just crazy.
Yeah.
But it was good though.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, at ISE this year, the booth was absolutely stacked out.
Yeah.
You couldn't get, from start to finish, it was rock solid. So it's, but it's, and it's a great collaboration, and we definitely benefit from it because you guys partner so tightly.
Yep.
We see off the back. It's good actually. I know you're doing some workout now with double bass array and stuff, and it helps us because we can pick your brains and
well that's what they're here for. Go for it if you can find it.
So it definitely helps.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I mean, that project we had to custom build a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
and in a hurry, but we could do that, and that's the advantage of having a manufacturing facility on site, and also our R&D is embedded in it. So essentially, it's the heart and body and everything.
And is all the manufacturing in Adelaide?
Yes,
it's all there.
All on site.
All on site.
So we've got a pile of buildings, and we're all there. And the R&D part is, really part of the manufacturing process, and it's so integrated that it just ticks over as one organism, essentially, if you like. So if we have something we have to do quickly, or we have to change something, it's not that difficult to do because we can program the machines and make stuff.
I know.
It's an interesting process. Yeah.
I know. I've got a number of customers tapping me on the shoulder, going, I think I should really get a trip out to Adelaide.
I think that would be a good idea.
Actually, that wouldn't it? That would be. There's nothing like seeing the facility and manufacturing, and
see the level of insanity.
Yeah.
The other thing too is we're in a wine region, so if you get
I did hear you might have an interest.
Yeah, we got a slight interest. But usually the people come over. We because we're involved in that industry too. We generally have a good time with doing that as well. So.
Wine and cinemas. That sounds like a great combination.
It's all sensory.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what else? If it's sleepy backwater, what else?
That's it.
Turn yourself. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So, I think you're going to be around for the next couple of days with us. Like I say, thanks for taking the time out there. And going to share all wisdom with our customers, and
that'll be fantastic.
They're really great having you over. But really wanted to take your time while we had it, and
that's good.
So hopefully that jet lag hasn't kicked in.
No, not yet. We'll probably find out tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Scott, thank you very much. Really appreciated. Look forward to having you about. Let's we'll wrap that up here. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity. Oh, absolutely. No,
No, it's fantastic. I've never been to this part of the world.
Oh,
I mean, I've been to the UK once
Yeah.
or twice, but not really here. So it's completely different. So I like it.
yeah, no,
And I'll tell you what, you've done a great job with this one.
Yeah, no, it's
So,
it's good.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll
I mean,
demonstrate it for you
you know,
later.
It's not bad.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, score it. Yeah, don't upset him. Don't give him a good score.
I
Please.
will.
Yeah. No, well, we're doing demos all tomorrow, so we'll
brilliant.
be cranking it up properly then. So
Yeah,
no,
thank
we
you.
really welcome it. We love having our manufacturers over.
Yep.
There's nothing like learning directly from you guys.
Yep.
You know, it's the best way. So
Yep.
really appreciate it. So thank you very much. We'll wrap this
you.
up here, and I think just for me to say to listen out for Turn Up the Tech on all streaming platforms, and also please go and view us on YouTube as well if you get the chance, and remember to follow us on social media at Invision UK. Thank you very much. Bye.